Hello, students. Today, we will learn about multi-branch conditional statements using an example of calculating promotion amounts in a shopping mall through the if, Elif, else statement. In daily life, we often face many decision-making problems. Actually, computers are no exception. When a computer encounters one or more choices, it needs to use a decision structure. The decision structure will make different choices based on whether the condition is true or false. This will lead to different actions, executing different blocks of code, and thus controlling the flow of the program. Now, let's watch a video. Good news! Double 11 big promotion, 10% off store-wide, 20% off for purchases over 200. Please think about this, students. How can we use Python to design a program that, by inputting the total amount of goods, directly outputs the discounted amount to be paid? We can use an if statement to check whether the total purchase amount is greater than or equal to 200. If the condition is met, we multiply the amount by 0.8. If the condition is not met, we multiply the amount by 0.9. This will give us the discounted amount to be paid. For situations like this, where only an if-else condition is needed, this simple program structure can accomplish the task. This is called a two-branch decision structure. However, many times, the decision-making problems we encounter are a bit more complex. For example, the one below. Good news! Double 11 big promotion, 10% off store-wide, 20% off for purchases over 200, and 30% off for purchases over 500. This time, the mall has increased the promotion intensity. So, do you know how to calculate the amount the customer needs to pay? Here are 3 methods for calculation. If the amount is 500 or more, a 30% discount applies. If the amount is between 200 and 499, a 20% discount applies. If the amount is less than 200, a 10% discount applies. If we use a program to perform the calculation, the condition to check is whether the amount is greater than or equal to 500. If the condition is met, multiply the amount by 0.7. If the condition is not met, then check whether the amount is less than or equal to 200. If this condition is met, apply a 20% discount. Multiply the amount by 0.8. If neither condition is met, it means the amount is less than 200. In this case, apply a 10% discount. Multiply the amount by 0.9. At this point, we need to use a multi-branch decision structure, if, Elif, else. By comparison, we can see that the two-branch decision statement only has the if and else blocks. In contrast, the multi-branch decision statement has an additional Elif block between if and else. The Elif block is used to check multiple conditions in sequence. It is used to evaluate multiple conditions one by one. Now, let's open the Python editor and do a practical exercise for this problem together. First, define a variable money to store the input shopping amount. Note that since the input statement returns a string type, you need to use float for typecasting. This will convert the returned string into a floating point number. This allows us to perform comparisons and arithmetic operations afterwards. If the amount is greater than or equal to 500, apply a 30% discount. That is, multiply the amount by 0.7. If the condition is not met, it means the amount is less than 500. Then, check whether the amount is greater than or equal to 200. If the condition is met, apply a 20% discount. That is, multiply the amount by 0.8. If the condition is not met, it means the amount is less than 200. Then, apply a 10% discount, multiplying the amount by 0.9. Finally, output the discounted payment amount. Save the program and then click Run. Finally, I've assigned a homework task for you. Use the BMI value to determine the degree of body fat. Please complete it after class. In this lesson, we learned the multi-branch decision structure if, Elif, else, based on the two-branch if, else structure. We reviewed its syntax and flowchart. We also understood the difference between the two-branch and multi-branch decision structures. Through this lesson, we learned how to write a program using decision statements to calculate the promotion amount in a shopping mall. That's all for today's lesson.